Welcome back to Holly and Harvey Travels 2020 version. Of course, this is the only 2020 version there is. I mean, we haven't been to any other places. We've been landlocked and locked up and locked in, just like everybody else is because of COVID-19. And so this is the only trip of the year, as we said earlier. But today we're headed up to Haleaki, the Haleaki crater, which is about 10,000 feet up in the air. And it's an incredible view. We've been there before, but you can never go enough times. So we like to show it to you and have some fun.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. The clouds are pretty interesting looking. They're covering some of the mountaintops, so we'll probably drive through the clouds and go up to 10,000 feet. And it looks pretty quiet. There's not a lot of people on the road. So during normal times, which is December, is a very high traveled month here in Maui, the road would be bumper to bumper, but we've lucked out.
As we said earlier, this island has been hit real hard by COVID-19, not by the disease itself, but by the lockdown, because people just quit coming to Hawaii because the state completely shut down. And as we said earlier, the nightmare we had getting in here, or anybody else has, it's jumping through a lot of hoops.
And they're very slow to reopen. The restaurants are still 25% inside and 50% outside. So there's still a lot of people that are not going to reopen, Harvey, and which is really sad because there's a lot of people unemployed here, and you can just tell they're hurting and they want to open up their doors to everybody.
Of course, that's going on throughout the whole country. No matter where you're watching from today, you know that your state is locked down to more or less degrees. And but it's no worse than it is here in Hawaii, particularly in Maui. In any event, let's head up to the crater and have some fun.
Trouble melts like a lemon drops high above the chimney top, that's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. The dreams that you dare to, why, oh, why can't I?
You're watching CNN, the beautiful Hawaiian Islands, and the island of Maui. Aloha! Anytime you come to Maui, you gotta be sure and,
Go on a boat ride.
of course, and here we are on the beautiful catamaran, what's the name of it?
Trilogy 4
Right, the Trilogy 4.
with Captain Frog.
Yes. And we're here for heavy hors d'oeuvres and all you can drink.
And a sunset.
A sunset you've never seen before.
And maybe some whales.
Ooh, whales. Yes, as a matter of fact, they've already shown us some whales. There were 2 of them at the buffet. But that's another story. All right, we're on our way.
watching CMN from Maui, Hawaii. Aloha.
I'd be remiss to come to Hawaii in the middle of a COVID pandemic without mentioning some of the economic impacts that are being felt here, just like they are in the lower 48. And it is something to behold. Upon arriving here in Hawaii, we found a state with some of the highest levels of unemployment in the country. Joblessness rose to Great Depression levels in the spring following the shutdown orders that local authorities issued in March. In addition to the business closures and restrictions on large gatherings that were common across the U.S., Hawaii was also the first state to require out-of-state travelers to quarantine upon arrival. That scene represents a stark reversal from the time before COVID-19. Roughly 30,000 people arrived in Hawaii every day during 2019, although the number approached 40,000 during the summer travel season. That number has declined dramatically since the onset of the pandemic. During the initial lockdowns in the spring of this year, the number of daily arrivals dropped below 500 and have only risen slowly over the past months as the state slowly lifts restrictions. When we arrived here from the mainland, we came under a new rule that enabled people to come in if they test 72 hours before arrival. And we did a negative test in Florida and then boarded the plane and got here within 72 hours and were admitted. But if you didn't do that, under the old rule, you had to quarantine for 14 days. And nobody wanted to come to Hawaii and sit in their hotel room for 14 days. You couldn't go to a restaurant, you couldn't go to the beach, you couldn't go to any of the sites. You just had to come here and sit in your hotel room for 14 days. Not very inviting. We took a stroll through the town of Lahaina on Maui. Normally it's a thriving, bustling center of activity. However, what we found was a ghost town, reminiscent of similar scenes throughout the lower 48 and many places in the world. Harvey and Holly reporting from the island of Maui in the South Pacific in the state of Hawaii. One of the main reasons we chose early to mid-December to visit Maui was specifically for the Maui Pro Professional Women's Surfing Contest. It's scheduled to take place every December at Honolulu Bay on Maui. It's very close to Jaws, which many surfers know as the top spot in the world for great surfing. The competition was suspended on one of the first days after a shark bite incident in which a recreational surfer was bitten. The unfortunate victim died the following evening in the hospital. Organizers said after working with local authorities and discussing with surfers, the World Surf League has made the decision not to continue running the remaining heats. Officials announced they were working on options to complete the Maui Pro at an alternative location elsewhere in Hawaii, possibly the north shore of Oahu, which is near Honolulu. We were able to catch a few heats on the opening day, but the big guns weren't involved in the opening rounds. Needless to say, we were disappointed, but we did enjoy what we saw. Harvey Siegel reporting from Maui. Well, we're here in Maui on the shores of the South Pacific, sitting in the courtyard at Mama's Fish House, reputed to be one of the top restaurants in the world and maybe the #1 restaurant in the United States. Have you looked forward to it, Holly?
Oh boy, have I ever. We've been eating at home in the hotel every night. So we're really looking forward to spending an afternoon eating fine cuisine.
And nothing's better than Mama's. To show you how specialized they are, and I know that many of you who visited Maui have been here before, but to show you how special they are, on the menus, they actually put the name of the fish on the menu and the person who caught it, the actual fisherman. Because some people have a special fisherman they like only to catch their fish. Of course, those are not the people like us who only come here yearly, but the people, the natives that come here, they have a special thing for Mama's Fish House. It's been around since 1973, so 47 years, they're doing something right.
But this year was a little different, and they closed down back in the spring, and they just reopened back in early November. So we're very lucky that our trip was in December, and we're able to come and enjoy the restaurant.
Holly, you ready to eat?
Yes, let's go.
Let's go to Mama's Fish House. From Mama's Fish House
in
Maui, Hawaii. Aloha! One of the real highlights of coming to Maui is the famous drive to Hana, H-A-N-A. It's only about 35 miles, but it takes about 3.5 hours because it's an incredible winding road. we've done it before, but every time you come, you seem to see a different portion of it, a different view. And also it depends on whether you come in the dry season or the rainy season. Unfortunately, this is the dry season, so we're not going to see a whole lot of waterfalls, but there are a few because we're on the rainy side, we're on the wet side.
It'll be really nice too, because as we've said through all our videos, it's very quiet down here. There's not a lot of people. So on some days during high season, it could be bumper to Hana, but I don't think we're going to experience that today.
Well, it is what it is, and we'll see what we're going to see. And most importantly, we'll share it with you, our fond viewers. So off we go to the road to Hana. Well, here on the road to Hana, there's all kinds of exciting things to do, and as you can see, these people decided to take a dip. Not a skinny dip, just a dip.
And basically what happens is you have people that are like the die-hard, you know, no fear, and then you got people that are usually in control, so they stay in control, and it's hard to let go of control. Moms are usually the biggest one. That's why, Susie, that was dope, girl. That was amazing.
Was it cold?
It's definitely refreshing.
Mind if I steal one of those towels if there's
Oh,
one?
yeah.
Was it cold?
Freezing.
Feel good though.
It's all good.
Feel good.
Especially as a mom.
Holly, what do you think of the road to Hana?
Well, it's certainly an experience that everyone needs to come and do in person.
Yeah, you can't really explain this to anybody, can you?
No.
How about the flora and fauna?
The last time I was here, the flora and fauna was not this mature. The roads have certainly grown up a lot more. The vines on the sides are very, very prominent. It's very beautiful though, but it doesn't look like anybody's really taken care of the sides of the road and the stops, and you can't see the road signs anymore. They're covered up. So it needs a little love, but it's pretty.
Yeah, I think COVID probably has a great deal to do with that. We've seen a number of the state facilities close down, which means they're not working, not maintaining anything, and probably sitting at home and getting a PPE check or unemployment from the state, which all has a downhill effect on the economy here.
Which really and truly they could be working, because it's just, you're outside, it's just beautiful, and you can keep away from people, so it's too bad.
Shrimp on the road to Hana. When you drive to Hana, during a pandemic, you better bring your own food with you because everything is closed, including most of the state's bathrooms. But we found one that was open, called a Wayside. Got it in it? Got it in yesterday. Potato salad. First, we'd like to give a special shout out to Lon Liu, the general manager at the Kaanapali Beach Club in Maui, for hosting our C&M crew for the 2 weeks we were visiting. Comfort meets convenience at the Kaanapali Beach Club, located on Maui's western shore just minutes from downtown Lahaina. Relax in the pool, set among lush landscape, or sip your morning coffee at an on-site open cafe bar. With an on-site restaurant and convenience store, you'll have everything you need to make the most of your Maui vacation. Enjoy ocean views from your private balcony and reconnect with your loved ones in the spacious accommodations that feature full-size refrigerators and oversized bathtubs with separate showers. We felt like kings. Also, we'd like to give a special thanks to Delta Airlines for smooth sailings on their Dreamliner fleet that made our 15-hour commute seem much shorter. Delta's major response to the COVID-19 epidemic is their commitment to not sell the middle seat on all of their flights. They are truly serious about assuring safety in the air for all their passengers and have guaranteed not to sell the middle seat through the end of March of 2021.